Man, I used to always hear, Scott, you're not evil enough.
Welcome to another episode of Chewing the Fat. I'm your host, Big Rob. Thank you so much for tuning in, downloading the podcast. I certainly do appreciate that. To the folks that have left ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts, thank you so much. It does help more folks find the podcast when we tell those beautiful, messy human stories. And today with me in studio, please welcome Scott Harris. Scott.
What's up, Rob?
Hey, man. How are you?
All right.
Good.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming in. Scott and I have worked together in the media ministry for a few years now, doing tech at church here in Evans, and I've just gotten to know you and appreciate you and your talents and your heart, and you've got a really great story. So that's why I wanted to see if you'd want to be here to share it. So I appreciate you coming in. I really do.
Thanks. Yeah, I've enjoyed getting to know you as well, and certainly have a story. I don't know if it's great.
Well, like I said, everybody has a story, and being able to kind of tell that and is something that kind of helps us all. So, but you're in Evans. Is that where you're born and raised, or do you transplant?
No, I'm actually from Florida. Grew up in Florida.
Oh, wow. What area?
I was born in Daytona Beach, and lived there for about 8 years, and then kind of moved across Central Florida. My dad, he is a retired minister, and so we moved around a little bit. And I would probably call Sarasota, Lakewood Ranch area home. Yeah.
What were you into growing up in the Sarasota area? Like just regular kid stuff? I mean, or like...
Yeah, I baseball, played a lot of baseball and basketball, and certainly was part of church growing up. And I was one of those kids that was like geeky and nerdy, but also I love sports. So, I would do, probably ashamed to admit this, choir, and then in band, played in band. And then when I was in 11th grade, I finally learned the guitar so that I could pick up chicks.
There you go.
And it didn't work very well.
Were you just a bad guitar player or just bad at picking up chicks?
I think I'm bad at picking up chicks. I think that's more it. Lack of game.
There you go. So, I guess, being a PK, being a pastor's kid, that was pretty much your world for most of your life growing up like that, right?
Yeah, it was. I was the youngest of three. I have two older sisters, and my parents split when I was 10, and that kind of created some dissonance, I would say, and just kind of growing up in a blended home, and keeping the peace between my family and my sisters. But they kind of, not that they fell out of church, or they kind of fell out of church, but not of their faith, I would say. So they're less religious, more spiritual, maybe.
Yeah, and that's not necessarily a bad thing.
No, not at all.
Because again, depending, especially if you're a preacher's kid and then you're in it and you see, nobody should see how the sausage is made. Yeah. Really, when you start to see that kind of behind the scenes of any job, but especially something like a church, and you start seeing those meetings and how people treat each other not on Sunday,
right,
can really can put a bad taste in your mouth.
It can, and it has for me over the years, and I think we'll probably get into it a little more down the line here. But I've learned to hold a lot of things in tension in my life, where I the older I've gotten, the more I've realized that things aren't so black and white. And sometimes, you have good people that maybe do bad things or they mean well and they somehow mess up. And so there are often times people we disagree with. And so I guess I've tried to figure out how to be less right and more one with people. So that's been a growing curve for me.
Yeah. Yeah. So I met you at the church doing tech. Was that type of stuff like video services, videos, music? Was that always something that you had a passion for? Obviously, you played the guitar and you did choir and band, but like when you went off to college, you were like, "Yep, I'm going to be a whatever."
Yeah, it was never something that I wanted to do as a career. Mm-hmm. It's always been a little side passion of mine, mm-hmm. and really. The way I got started, I was fortunate to have a youth pastor that let me play in the band. And, we would joke about the suck button, on the mixer where they would just mute you, But I always tell people the way you learn is to just get with people who will let you play. And then they say, don't play it that way, play it this way, and then you just learn through failure. But, I played in a band at church and started learning there. And then when I got to college, I started at Oglethorpe University in Atlanta and was part of Oglethorpe Christian Fellowship. Mm-hmm. And I played guitar with some folks there. And then I kind of went off the rails a little bit. And I joked that I was one of the few individuals that transferred to Florida State to stop partying. And so I joined a fraternity when I was a sophomore, and I had a little too much fun.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I kind of took a little bit of a break from church there for a while, but I sort of got back into it. But music for me is really been a way that I connect to the divine. It's sort of like a meditative practice for me.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to necessarily be worship music. I just appreciate all kinds of genres. It's, to me, I say it's the universal language.
Yeah.
That you can go to any country and you may not know the language and may not be able to speak, but certainly music somehow translates. Mm-hmm. I can remember one time I was a youth pastor at the time, and I took a big group to the Bahamas for a mission trip. I know it was rough in the Bahamas.
Wow. Yeah.
But they do get a lot of hurricanes. And so we were doing some reconstruction, but we were on the beach one day and we were just playing music, playing some songs, and these Bahamians were there and they were like, "Hey, let's sing together." And like, we were just singing and dancing on the beach with strangers.
Yeah.
And it was just a totally surreal but cool moment. And it just kind of reminds you of the transcendent nature of music.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so I guess then was ministry then the goal, to be a minister, following in the church footsteps kind of thing?
No, I ran from it.
Yeah.
I didn't want anything to do with it. Just seeing how my dad, some of the things that he endured, talking about, the bitter politics that happened in church, and mm-hmm. I was a little jaded. I wanted to do anything but be in a church, and also I wanted to make money.
Yeah. Right.
And you can't really do that unless you're Joel Osteen.
Right.
and others. But no, so I started majoring in chemistry.
Oh, wow.
And really liked science and thought I might be a pharmacist. And I worked in a pharmacy for a couple of years, and man, there's something about being chained to a desk and not really having much of a break. And it was in a retail. I'm sure there are other versions of pharmacy out there that it's not as, rote, but,
Right.
but I just, I realized I didn't really like that life. And so I started getting into politics, and I ended up majoring in political science, thought maybe I might work on campaigns or something. And, then, man, there was this guy at Florida State. He would come to the student union every week. His brother Jed, and he would piss me off. No, that more than any other human being at the time, because he would literally get up on a soapbox and just start telling all these people about their sins that he has no relationship with.
Wow.
And tell them how they're going to hell. And then he would read the Bible, and it just made me so mad, because, that's not the version of Jesus that I read about in the Bible. And, it's Jesus is often inviting people to follow, not condemning them for not following.
Right.
So, the more I encountered that, the more the angrier I got. And I wrestled with faith in college. What if this is made up? What if it's not real? Mm-hmm. What if it's a crutch for the weak? That you're not strong enough to handle your stuff, so you have to use religion as a way to overcome it, or as an excuse to overcome it, or to not overcome it, I should say.
Yeah.
And then, sort of the Nietzsche philosophy of that religion is a tool is the opiate of the masses, I think he said, and a tool for manipulating people, and I certainly see all of that. I think the institution certainly has a lot of warts. But I realized that I love people, and I love getting to know people, and I care about their lives and helping them live better lives. Not that I'm an expert in it. And the motto that I started to live by was that I wanted to meet people where they were and help lead them to where God wants them to be. And so I don't assume that I have the answers, and certainly not holier than thou. But I just want to help people find hope and healing in the world. And so in that I guess vein, I started in youth ministry. I took a job at a church and had like 3 kids, and it wasn't very large. But I think God calls us wherever we are. Yeah. And I know you may have listeners out there that are like, religion is bunk, but I do want to sympathize with those that I believe that the divine is all around us, and that God meets us wherever we are. And I also realize that there are varying interpretations of who God is based on, your religion and where you grew up, and your geography, and I also know that religion has been used to torment and abuse people. And so I often say that I really have a passion for the de-churched people, people who are like cranked at the church, or who have been disappointed or let down. Yeah. Because of the misrepresentation of the church. So that's, as we get into it, as we talk more, I know, I just want people to know that's the heart I'm coming from.
Yeah. Yeah. And so your journey into youth ministry and working then in the church, and did that, and I love your center for why you were doing that. I think that shows in you just from knowing you. What brought you to Augusta? What brought you to this area?
So,
because I'm assuming you moved around a little bit, because that's usually, again, how kind of, you're like radio people. You kind of move around from church to church, station to station.
Yeah, it's interesting, actually. I stayed. I'm one that doesn't like to move around a lot once I get comfortable. And so I was at a church for a while in Lakewood Ranch. I think it was about 6 years. And we had just had our second child, Russell. I went on paternity leave and came back, and I just felt like I needed change, and the church needed change. I think they needed to go in a different direction, and I wasn't the right fit anymore. And also at that time, my wife, now ex, and we can talk about that, but her father was recently diagnosed at the time with stage 4 colon cancer. And they lived in Statesboro. Okay. And so we just had Russell, and I came home, and I was like, I think I'm going to quit my job. And I'm one of those that like talks about walking in faith, but rarely do I have moments where I've felt like God definitively told me to do something. Yeah. I mean, I've just recently had another one, and it's been a long time, but like generally it's kind of like an inkling or an inclination, like, and I know what the scripture says, and it's sort of like the wisdom of what I should do, but man, I felt like God was telling me to quit my job. And so I went through a year period where I ended up commuting to Orlando, which is a couple hours away. Yeah. And I would take my son Russell with me, and because we couldn't afford daycare for him, our daughter was in daycare, and so I would go work with my dad in Orlando at a church. He called me up. I was unemployed for like, I don't know, a few weeks, and he said, "Hey, we need a youth minister. We just lost ours, and you're unemployed, and we've got some things already scheduled, and you know how to do these things." So I was like, yeah, sure. So it was really cool. I got to work with my dad, and we did that for a year. And then I had a moment where like I had nothing, no like prospects of a permanent job, and the commute was getting kind of old. Yeah. And then like within that year, at one time there was a church that said, "Hey, we need somebody to be a worship leader," and they wanted to interview me. And my dad's church then wanted to hire me full time. And then a church in Statesboro needed an assistant pastor, and I interviewed for that, and they offered me the job. And so that allowed us to be able to move and be close to Laney's father, and she was able to get a job at Georgia Southern and worked down the hall from him and until he retired, and he eventually passed away, but she was able to be there with him through his final days. So yeah, it was a real blessing. And just long story short, I was there I think for about 6 years, and then Wesley here in Augusta called, and had Evans, and a friend who I had ties with back in Florida was one of the pastors at Wesley, and he was moving on, and he invited me to come check it out. And yeah, it seemed great. And came here, and 6 months later it was COVID.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it was about 9 months later. But yeah, things were going great. And then I became like an AV engineer overnight. And, I've got a little bit of IT background and AV background, and I'm just curious about a lot of things. So I was working in video, and so I started doing that, live streaming for the church, and kind of doing things behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And, and that's how I kind of got started there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't remember. I mean, I know we were still in COVID when I started to come work, because I started just running a camera. Ryan Abel was doing music there, and he's like, "Hey, I know you do camera work, and so I was running a crane camera in the gym."
Yeah.
Because that was the easiest way to keep everybody, 6 feet apart.
Yeah, we started outside. We built a trailer, or we outfitted a trailer with gear that we would lock up and then like set up every Sunday. And then we had a tent outside, and then we were able to move indoors in the gym, but still spacing everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't miss those days.
I miss the crane camera sometimes, just because it would be a good shot to have. But,
it would be. Yeah.
But yeah, and then we, things morphed and moved, and we were able to move back into the interior space and stuff like that, and moved off the camera, and because Ryan left and other people came, and now I punch the live stream. And now you're not there, but there you were playing with the band, some of the Sundays. And of course, I know I text you and other people text you when something goes wrong, because basically you built that whole system to begin with, because you built it because of COVID, because everybody went to streaming, and they're like, all right, we need a streaming. You're like, all right, well, let's figure this out. So you know where everything's plugged in at. So
yeah, well, we just rebuilt it too, because they put new carpet and stuff in there. But yeah, I was a pastor, an associate pastor there for a good while, and I would preach in the modern worship services pretty regularly. And eventually, just through a variety of reasons, I felt like I needed a change. And I guess University was hiring for a director of broadcast media, and it was a bit of a promotion. So I took that job, and now I'm responsible for leading a team, and we broadcast things for the university, and particularly athletics for the most part. But yeah, I kind of went away from the church for a little bit to give myself and some others some space to some new folks to come in and create their own make it their own, I should say.
Right. Their own version of what.
Put their own stamp on it is what I was trying to say.
Yeah, absolutely.
And but I definitely needed, I started missing out, some things going a little haywire. So
yeah. Because I mean, that's just from knowing preachers and pastors and folks like that, it becomes a 24/7 type of gig. When something happens, there's always somebody in a hospital that needs to be visited. There's always a crisis that needs a counselor or something like that. And even though you or the associate or whatever, if they feel like they have a bond with you, they're going to call you instead of calling the head guy or some random deacon on a board or whatever it is, because they feel like they have a connection, and you feel like you have a responsibility to respond to that, even though it's like, well, I'm at my daughter's ballet recital or whatever it is, you still feel pulled away because of your responsibility, right?
Yeah. I've found that, and this is in retrospect, but many pastors have terrible boundaries. And it's not for lack of trying. I think we mean well, but as you say, like there can be a lot of demands. People may not realize the business nature of a church. Not that you ever want to think of it that way, but there are logistics you have to plan for, and events that you plan for, and you have to manage volunteers, and you have to create and craft vision and strategy, and how ultimately how you want to grow. Now, I think where some churches get into trouble is they want to kind of grow themselves rather than grow the kingdom. And I think the Bible's imperative is for us to make disciples, to bring heaven to earth. And sometimes we want to, making disciples only pays the bills if those disciples stay at your church. And so there can be a conflict there sometimes. But my heart was always with people, and I just loved talking with people and listening to people and listening to their stories and just meeting them where they are. Somebody once said to me, he's like, I don't know how you can come to church and listen to people and listen to all their problems and listen to all these things that people go through, and then look at them on a Sunday morning and just go on about your business. And I said, man, I think we're all a mess, and I don't see anybody any differently. And just because somebody had the courage to come talk to me about it, I'm not going to treat them any differently, Yeah. And so that was always the thing that fueled me, is just being with people. It was just the other stuff that.
And that's part of that. It seems to me now in some of the stuff that you're doing, you've kind of, I don't want to say just posting content, but you're posting content. Which is amazing that you're taking the skill you had to learn because of COVID with all the video production stuff, and combining it with your heart for people, and now you're putting out stuff. How did that idea happen? Was that more like, I need this to get out for me, or I know it will help someone as well?
Both.
Yeah.
So this is going to go into the mental health aspect. So I don't know if you want.
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
I'm just wondering how the impetus of getting started, what that was about, and we can go deeper in the next segment too. Okay. But
so I made a concerted effort to quit social media in 2016, and I rarely would post anything. And the reason I did that is because the election then was really getting to me. I think a lot of good people were saying a lot of nasty things, and it just wasn't an arena that was fulfilling me. It was just kind of soul sucking, and so I cut out. I just decided not to do any content, or even just to post pictures for my family. I just kind of got out. And that was a way that a lot of people and I would connect, particularly folks from old churches and things like that. So and it was all social media, Instagram, Facebook. And so that was kind of the beginning of me isolating myself in a way, like unintentionally, but that was the unintended consequence of it. And after I left my job, or I left the church, I left Wesley, I was so, in a way, I was burned out from church, from religion. And I felt like I needed a break. And in retrospect, I did it in the wrong way. And I just kind of put my faith aside. And what I didn't realize is that in doing that, I was isolating myself even more, but then I was like separating myself from my calling and the thing that gives me fulfillment. And really the fulfillment is in relationships. It's in connecting with people. And I wasn't doing any of that. And I just got into a really dark place. And ultimately I realized that something needed to happen, something needed to change. And there was sort of a catalyst that propelled me into now this content making space.
Mm-hmm.
And it really got me back into social media. And so I don't know if you want to dive into that, or
we'll dive into that in just a second then. So something happened, you got in, but it seems like you've approached it the right way now, as opposed to previously where it seemed like it was, you know what I mean? It may have been more passive previously, and now it's more active as far as like you creating, saying the things that you weren't finding previously.
Yeah. Also, I do feel a conflict internally with social media and putting content out, in that it can feel self-promoting.
Mm-hmm.
And I really mean this. Like it's work. Like I'm not getting paid to do it, you know?
Yeah.
And so I'm doing it for the creative process, but also because I want to help people, and I want to inspire people to the extent that I can, you know?
Yeah.
And so I don't want to give the wrong impression that I'm doing it to glorify myself.
Yeah.
You know, and so I'm always fighting that internal struggle. Like, do I post this, or why do I post this? But at the same time, you got to post some things because of algorithms and,
Well, you know, and I'll say from my own experience for this podcast itself, and if people have listened before, they've heard me say this, is like, you know, I put a lot of pressure on myself for this to be this positive, you know, or this perfect thing. And, a lot of that, imposter syndrome, and like, nobody wants to hear you. Nobody cares what you have to say type stuff. And it wasn't until, you know, a friend of mine was like, no, you have something important. You're helping people tell their stories. You're helping it. And somebody somewhere needs to hear. It's not on you to worry about who hears it. It's on you to worry about, put it out there. The people that need to hear it will find it. And that's the part, that's the faith part that you just have to trust, is like, all right, we did this, we put it out there. Whoever needs to hear it will hear it.
I was listening to a devotion this morning, and it was about Lazarus, and Jesus telling the disciples, like, hey, Lazarus is asleep, and he was telling them he was dead, but he didn't say it outright. And then the disciples thought he was like literally asleep, and he's like, no, he's dead. And but the interesting thing there at the end was that Thomas, the one who was like doubting Thomas, later was like, well, then let's go and die with him, you know, kind of like this assertion of faith. And one of the questions, or one of the suggestions in the devotion, was like, let faith be the bridge between confusion and clarity. And man, I have not lived that more and experienced that more than I have in the past few months. I can tell you.
That's great. That's great.
And just exactly what you're talking about. You know, we can't be so worried about statistics that we lose sight of the bigger picture, which is that if it helps one, it's worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Scott, for you right now, I know, for this part has been a little bit of a heavy segment, but what is bringing you joy right now in your life? What is bringing you joy?
You know, I am kind of in a difficult season right now, and what's bringing me joy is like spending time with my kids.
Mm-hmm.
My son's in travel soccer. Russell's in travel soccer, and Ella, she's playing softball, and also she's just started driving, and it's nerve-wracking for a parent, but just trying to cherish the moments that I have with them. And also, because I had isolated myself so much, I'm just saying yes to a lot of things. I know, like, we've got to preserve our boundaries, but I'm one of those rare introverted pastor types. I was always loved being one-on-one with people and listening and hearing stories, but like having to go out and work the room in glad hand and all that just stressed me out, gave me anxiety. So, but I've felt very certain that God's been saying, man, you've got to say yes. You've got to get over your fear. And so, like, you asked me to do this, and normally I'm more comfortable asking questions and answering them. And but I said yes, and making this new content is bringing me joy, and spending time in nature has been bringing me joy. Yeah, I've been spending time out at the lake, and then just exercising and just getting healthy has been bringing me some joy. And spending time with friends and family. I recently reconnected with a lot of friends and family, and I went on a pilgrimage down to Florida to rediscover myself, and it was just totally transformative. So yeah, like I'm finding joy in the little things, especially in the aftermath of my life kind of blowing up.
All right, Scott, this is the second segment of the show. This is where we dive a little bit deeper into that mental health journey you've taken, because I do believe the more we can talk about these things, the easier it is for all of us to realize we're not alone in these things, no matter what our station in life. So for you, how do you keep the darkness at bay?
So I made a video not too long ago that talked about the nature of the darkness in me. I think people assume or expect that when you're a pastor, you are so full of the joy and love of Jesus, and there's nothing that ever goes wrong. And I think, one of the things I said in the video was that what people may not have known about me and some mental health issues, anxiety, and other things run in my family. And I said that there's always been, my life has been kind of like riding a fence, and on one side is the light and the other side's the dark. And for me, what's always kept the darkness at bay has been faith, and not just belief, but living out belief. And I think that actually pertains more to calling. And there's a theologian who said that, God calls us to where our gifts meet the world's needs. So if there's something the world needs that doesn't benefit us, that doesn't serve us, so it can't be self-serving, but to act selflessly to help others, or to improve their life, or to give them hope, or to give them reason to persist, whatever it is, that if we can do that, then that is, in a way, bringing heaven to earth, and is what Jesus called us to do. But also it's living out our calling, and that's putting light to the darkness. And after I left ministry, I wasn't doing any of that. And I got to a really, really dark place.
Mm.
And just felt a lot of shame and a lot of just lack of fulfillment in what I was doing. Not that I didn't enjoy it or I wasn't good at it, but that I didn't have that connection to people that I've always had. And I was unhappy in my marriage. And I mean, I take ownership of all of this, and it was my fault. I spiraled, and ended up losing my marriage and losing a couple close relationships. And because I had pushed everybody so far away, because I felt so much shame from things that having to do with like my body image and my weight, and I think I was dealing with some depression as well, and anxiety, and just sometimes you feel paralyzed, like things can be so overwhelming, and you just don't know where to begin, so you don't start.
Mm-hmm.
And you just feel the weight of this inertia on you. And it's like and then people would say, well, like, just calm down, or just be happy, or, just deal with it. And, one of the things I said in this video I put out, I shared a little bit of my story, was that brain chemistry is a thing. And it's having to deal with some of these issues does not mean you have a lack of faith or that you're a lesser Christian. And so, yeah, man, I struggled mightily and got so bad that I started asking questions like, well, I've isolated myself, and nobody's going to mind if I'm gone. Nobody will notice. And, my kids were the reason I was hanging on. But I even started thinking, well, I have this life insurance policy, and I can probably provide for them better in that way than I could, staying alive. And so, like, you get into these dark places, and you start thinking about reasons to exit, and they make sense. And I just got to such a bad place that I made a plan to leave the world. And a friend of mine was getting married, asked me to do his wedding, and I agreed to do it, a long time ago. And on my calendar, that was like the last commitment that somebody had, or that I had, that somebody was expecting something from me. And so I decided, like, after that, I checked the life insurance policy, and it covered it. And like, I just like went through all these steps, and, something happened at work that I kind of lost my cool on somebody, and it was like this light bulb went off, and I was like, I don't like who I am right now. And I immediately reached out I went online and found a therapist and reached out and made an appointment. And they called me the next day, and they were like, hey, can you come, in 2 weeks? And I was like, well, do you have anything earlier? I'm kind of in a bad way right now. And, made an appointment, and I've been going since. And it's been a tough road, but such a good road. And it wasn't long, maybe after my first session, where I decided this plan was dumb. But
the exit plan.
Yeah, the exit plan.
Yeah.
It's sometimes we have to fight hard to earn hope. I think there are some people that walk around and they're just optimists and they have a hopeful outlook. And then there's some of us, I'm more bent towards the cynical side. And I have to struggle to find the hope. And when I started thinking about more than just my kids, but things that I offer the world and that may be missed, I started to rethink everything, and also to like rethinking about how my grief was shaping me. And sure enough, the day of my friend's wedding, the morning of it, Ella was sleeping at his house. His daughter and my daughter Ella, both named Ella, and they're friends. And Ella was going to wake up with them and help set up for the wedding and stuff. And I get a phone call, 8:30 in the morning. I just happened to be in bed still, and I was awake, just kind of doom scrolling or whatever. And I see the phone ring, and I'm thinking, why is he calling me? It's on his wedding day, and I wasn't going to answer it. Then I was like, wait, he's calling me in the morning. And so I pick it up, and he lets me know that they were on their way to Waffle House, and another driver ran a stop sign going 60 miles an hour, and they were in a really bad wreck. And first thing he said was, I just want you to know everybody's okay. But here's what happened. And, he told me a little bit more about the details, but he gave the phone to Ella, and he did say Ella was doing okay, but as soon as he gave her the phone, she started to break down and cry. And, I just, try to encourage her. Laney and Russell had gone to a soccer tournament, so it was just me. And so I met them at a walk-in clinic. They were getting evaluated just in case. Ella seemed to be okay. And as soon as I walked to the door, she came walking briskly out and just greeted me with the biggest hug you can imagine. And I say in the video, like, she's not a hugger. And she wasn't letting go.
Yeah.
And man, I can tell you, like, it was in that moment where something shifted in me, where I thought I may not have been here for this moment. And they need a father still. So, I mean, it was sort of like God revving up the engine of hope in me.
Yeah.
And, everybody was a little banged up, but nothing serious. In fact, I even ran, because this is how much of a nerd I am, I ran the details of the accident through AI. And I was like, what are the odds that somebody would be seriously injured or dead based on the facts of this? And it was like 60% serious injury and 30% fatality, and nobody was injured. I mean, it was the car was totaled. And so it was miraculous. And I'm just grateful. And so, many therapy appointments after that and processing that, I decided I needed to go down to Florida and rediscover and remember who I was.
Yeah.
And met with a lot of people. I posted this video about my plan and what I was going to do and sort of what brought me out of it. And I did it as an awareness for mental health awareness month, men's mental health awareness for June. I just felt like God was saying, you got to put this out there. You got to make this video. And I'm like, man, like this, but I got to share a lot of embarrassing stuff. I don't really want to put this out there. And just I felt almost like this acid reflux, like this heavy feeling and this nagging that I had to do it. And so I did it. And people are still reaching out to me about it. And I've had people comment about family members that have committed suicide. I had one person reach out about just how instrumental I was in their life. I didn't even know it. And a number of my former students commented, and I didn't post it for me. Like I posted it for my own healing, but I wasn't looking to get anything from it.
Yeah.
But I just wanted men, especially out there, to know like it's okay to be vulnerable and that it's not a weakness, that there's strength and honesty and vulnerability. And that doesn't make you a lesser man. In fact, I just believe I'm so much healthier and stronger now than I was then because of the suffering that I've endured, but then allowed myself to be vulnerable and reach out to people and be honest. And people have really been very supportive of me. So it's been an incredible journey. So part of the thing that keeps the darkness at bay is just reaching out to people. And I realized after feeling the way I was and then going to therapy, I needed to get back into church. And so I called Luke and I was like, hey man, can I just, I know you don't need 2 guitarists every week and you kind of rotate us in and out, but like, even if you just mute me, can I come and play? I just need an excuse to pick up my guitar and I just need some motivation. I need to be around people. I need community. And I was honest with him about what I was dealing with. And he was like, yeah, man, come on. And so just showing up and putting one foot in front of the other sometimes is all you can. Even those days where you feel like you don't want to, doing the thing is really important to keep the darkness away. In fact, I'm working on another video about this very topic. And a friend of mine, we were talking and we were like, like darkness is a state. Like we are all enveloped in it without any source of light. And so you have to have something, a light source that projects light. So you're not in like a state of light, you are in a state of darkness. And you need the light to shine through. And I think for many of us, we can get so busy or so wrapped up in the world or so stressed out about things over which we have no control or anxiety over things. And what happens is our light begins to dim. And sometimes we can become so, I think, I don't know, oppressed by it that we don't know what to do, or we don't know how to move forward. And then our light keeps dimming, and when the light goes out, you lose your hope. And so I just want to encourage people, you know, whatever you can do to keep the generator on and keep the light on and to keep finding the thing that gives you hope, the thing that gives you light. So I went back home. I remembered who I was, people I met with, and old students, old parent volunteers, and then a friend of ours, Jeff Thomas, I talked to him, and he said, "Man, you're a preacher without a pulpit." And I was like, I don't know about that. But after I released that video and I saw like the people are really moved by it, I thought, well, maybe I'm a preacher with a platform.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just trying to make creative videos that will maybe inspire people or give them hope. You know, I created this channel on YouTube called Bones and Breath. It's based out of Ezekiel, where there's this valley of dry bones, and they come alive and they gain life only through the breath of God. And, you know, many people don't know, but like breath in the Old Testament is called ruach in Hebrew, but in Greek it's pneuma. But pneuma is also the word for spirit and wind. And so you have this wind, spirit, breath, it's like the holy breath, the Holy Spirit of God breathing through that gives people life. And so to me, the image is like these stories are the inspirational stories of hard-earned hope are what gives people light. It's what allows the Spirit to move. And I think, you know, tries to, you know, whether it's a dumb video about my kids or, you know, me clowning myself or me making a serious video. And I also hope to incorporate other people in the project at some point to tell their stories. It's really just to help people find hope, because people are who matter to me.
All right, Scott, it's time now for the third segment of the show. It's time now for the Fast Five. The Fast Five. It's time now for the Fast Five. Fast Five. So I'm still working on that theme song.
That was good.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Maybe I get you to do a little guitar riff or something like that.
Fast Five.
There we go. Do some harmonizing. Fast Five. That's right. Fast Five is powered by Poddex. It's an app created by my friend Travis Brown. If you go to chewingthefatbr.com/Poddex, it'll take you to your app store where you can download it. It's great conversation starters, but no wrong answers. It's just the first thing that comes to the top of your mind. You ready?
All right.
Question number 1. Burger or hot dog?
Burger.
Really?
Cheeseburger. Cheeseburger.
What's the go-to build on your cheeseburger?
I'll take it anyway, except onions.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, give me mustard. Give me, you know, ketchup, lettuce, tomato, whatever. Well, not lettuce now.
No, not now. Not now. No lettuce now. Lettuce, previous lettuce, and hopefully one day lettuce again. But right now, no lettuce.
Yeah, no lettuce. We'll pass. Literally.
Question number 2.
Hey, incidentally, you know what you call a vegetarian with diarrhea?
What?
A salad shooter.
Oh my gosh. Question number 2.
Bad joke. All right.
If you could go back in time and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
A couple things. You're going to be okay.
Yeah.
And become a therapist.
Yeah.
I struggle with what to do in life, and I think I realized that that's probably what I should have done. But you know, I have to go to grad school and then get licensed and all of that, and it takes a lot of time. So I think that ship has probably sailed, but I still want to help folks.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
I love it.
Another thing that I would tell myself is buy Apple stock, not Apple products.
Indeed.
Yes.
Question number 3. What would you like to accomplish in the next year? We're about halfway through right now, so by the end of the year, anything you want to accomplish?
Yeah. This is sort of a dumb answer, but I'm working on inner peace.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of like, is it Master Oogway and Kung Fu Panda, inner peace, But I've been doing a lot of work on, nervous systems and our nervous system response to trauma, and just working through my own responses to things and being calmer and just having a peace about the uncertainty and anxieties in life. And then, also saying yes to more things, not to overextend myself, but I got invited to go to the Keys. And so I want to do that. So, stuff like that. There's a couple concerts. One I'm going to that for sure. There's another one I'm thinking about. So, yeah, just living life.
I love it. Question number 4. What embarrasses you instantly?
Oh, man, not much these days. Oh, taking my shirt off, maybe, like if I'm going swimming.
Mm-hmm. Well, you've had a big weight loss journey.
Yeah.
You've lost a ton of weight.
I had 150 pounds.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And I'm still carrying like some baggage from all that. But I've had so many embarrassing things happen to me over the years. Like I just laugh at a lot of stuff that other people might find embarrassing. So yeah, there isn't much.
Okay. There's nothing wrong. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, because to me, embarrassment is like, well, if it's happening, it's happening, and I just need to move through it. It's like,
yeah.
And this is from someone whose pants have fallen down in public and stuff like that. That's like, well, all I can do is pick them up at this point. Sorry.
Once you have diarrhea in school, and
Yikes.
and it goes all over the place when, and then you have to carry that. There's really nothing that phases you at this point.
Yeah. Especially if you get a nickname like Potty Scotty or something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like,
I didn't have that, but that was great.
But you do now.
Yeah.
So, right.
Scotty to potty.
Question number 5. If someone made a movie about your life, who would play you?
Forrest Gump. Not Tom Hanks.
Not Tom Hanks, but
Forrest
actual Forrest Gump. That's why do you say that?
No. I'd want to say, like Ryan Gosling, because I don't know. Who do you think?
Well, I mean, in the Scott Harris story, I mean, seeing the work that Ryan Gosling did in Hail Mary, it's actually not a bad casting, to tell you the truth,
So, okay, and from a non-looks angle, because I know my kids are going to clown me for saying Ryan Gosling. And they're going to be like, of course you would say him because he's hot. And that's not what I'm saying. Because he can make fun of himself.
Mm-hmm.
And he recognizes, I think, he has the range where he can play it in a life that's just messed up and find hope in it. And Project Runway, not Runway, Hail Mary. That's a different Ryan Gosling. I don't know why I said that. I did used to watch that in the Tim Gunn. It's really because I had a celebrity crush on Heidi Klum.
Yeah.
Still do, kind of. But Yeah, maybe. I think he would understand the range of what it means to have joy and despair and hold those in tension.
Yeah. Like I said, not a bad casting at all. Well, that's our Fast Five, and that's the show, Scott. Thank you so much for being here, buddy.
I'm happy to tank your ratings.
No, not at all. I don't even look at those things, man.
That's good.
No, this was awesome. If folks do want to keep up with you and maybe your videos that you're putting out, stuff like that, what's the best way they can find you?
Yeah, so if you go to YouTube, I've just started it, and it's all in its infancy, but you can find the first few videos I've put out, and it's YouTube and then /@ Bones and Breath. So @Bones and Breath.
Awesome. Well, I'll make sure I put a link to that in the show notes. And again, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you, and I do. I love you and wish you nothing but the success with everything that you got coming forward, man. Really
Thanks, man.
do.
Appreciate you too.
Yeah. And if you would like to support this podcast, I'd appreciate it if you bought me a coffee at chewingthefatbr.com. But until next time, I look forward to the chance we have to sit a spell and chew the fat.